Hello, I am a nerd. Have you heard of two toddlers acting like countries, but the toddlers are countries and they're both fighting? No, of course I'm not talking about the Cold War. Take out the L, this is the COD War. So, you have two great superpowers. If one superpower was a tiny little country off in the Indian Ocean, and Iceland versus Great Britain. Great Britain is in an identity crisis, playing second fiddle to their former colony America, who has had such a great time shooting Indians and buffalo that they are so powerful now. But it gets better. British fishing trawlers tried to fish in Iceland's waters. Hey honey, do you know why there's a British gunboat in our bedroom? Darling, don't look! Icelanders were ticked off that British ships were fishing in their waters. So they sent out the Coast Guard. Iceland does not even have an organized military. And the Coast Guards bump into the British fishing trawlers and force them to retreat. An incredible move of naval strategy. Basically, they played bumper boats with British warships and won. Total respect, my man. But as Britain is a major colonial superpower, they were not too happy about this. It was a humiliation for them. So they entered a diplomatic truce where Britain could only fish there certain times of the year. Something important to remember is Britain had no public pressure behind their victory, but Iceland did, so they wanted it more. And Britain entered a time of peaceful negotiations for 10 years, and then Britain came back to fish in their waters. At some point during the first COD War, Iceland was selling cod to Russia and the Soviet Union, and the US forced Britain to back down. And well, let's just say that Iceland, throwing its weight around a bit, has a new weapon in this fight. It's like if David fought Goliath, but the next time he came back, he brought a bazooka. You see, David versus Goliath? David brought a harpoon designed to shoot British shipping vessels' cod catchers to shreds. And it worked. It shredded British fishing nets beyond measure. It was a total victory for Iceland again. Now Great Britain had been teased off not just once but twice by this tiny little Icelandic country, and they were not having it. But the US kept pressuring them because Iceland is a NATO ally. This time, it became international news, with news of the COD Wars spreading as far as Australia internationally. And well, two NATO allies fighting each other doesn't often happen. But Britain went to fight again because because they signed a truce saying they couldn't fish there for 2 years. British fishing ships came back after 2 years, and it was gunboat diplomacy again. Britain was crazy, and they brought in the military again. This also gained international attention, and the United States asked, could you please not do this again? I thought we sorted this out last time. Anyway, Great Britain Iceland at this point has raised their economic fishing zone from 50 meters to 200 meters, an outrageous thing that the British must now accept. Because yes, they lost the third COD war. Iceland threatened to cut off a major submarine base in their coastline, so the United States made Britain back down. And well, Britain being a colonialist empire, losing to Iceland 3 times, that's humiliating. They subjugated the Native Australians, they subjugated the Native Americans, they went to war with the Indians, and they killed billions. But here they are, losing to a small fishing fleet. So, the native Icelanders had won for the 3rd time, and Britain had finally gotten the message. But no one talks about that 200 miles is the fishing limit of most countries recognized by the UN today, if they actually do anything when countries misbehave. And well, the US maybe Britain and Iceland, they've reached an uneasy peace, and 200 nautical miles is actually the average range for fishing in their waters. So like, if you're a British trawler, or any country, 200 nautical miles is the standard distance in which you can fish legally. For my question of the day, do some research of your own, Google it, look it up, and tell me how Britain lost to Iceland. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. There's lots of interesting analysis you could do on a war like this. It's fascinating. Subscribe if you didn't know about the COD War, because it's actually pretty cool to learn about. We are nerds.